Can I see how it looks? I don't talk to you, I talk to him.
We can sometimes look at each other because
Okay.
we're beautiful. But yeah, mostly to here.
Okay.
So, hello. We are in Nadine's studio. And I'm very happy to be in her beautiful studio today. Look how many colors all around us. It's also a very, very windy day. So you can see this on my hair. Nadine is a PhD painting student in Musabi, Musashino Art University. Nadine, do you want to introduce yourself in Japanese?
In Japanese.
日本語で。
Okay. じゃあ日本語で自己紹介させていただきます。ナディーン・フランクリンと申します。現在、武蔵野美術大学で博士後期課程3年生になります。油絵を描いてます。たまに小さい水彩も描いたりしてます。よろしくお願いします。
はいはい、よろしくお願いします。Amazing. Maybe now in English?
So, my name is Nadine Franklin. I'm from the US and I'm in Musashino Art University. I do oil painting and I'm currently a PhD third year student here. Nice to meet you.
The nice to meet you part, is it something people say in English?
Not really, I just couldn't think of a way to end it.
Yeah, so it's like the translation to yoroshiku onegaishimasu, yeah, which comes at the end of the Japanese introduction.
Yeah.
Always, usually?
Always.
Yeah. Okay, so how did we meet?
How did we meet?
Shall we talk about this a little bit?
Yeah.
Because we've been friends for a long time.
Yeah,
Quite a long time. 5 years, yeah. Which is the whole time we've been here in Japan and in Tokyo. We both came here 5 years ago as mixed students. Mixed is the scholarship that you are still on, I'm not on because I'm not a student anymore. If you are interested in the mixed scholarship, you can check this video right here where I talk about how did I get it and what is it. So Nadine is currently on the MEC scholarship for PhD student. We both came here as research students. I'm from Israel and Nadine from the US. In the US, where did you come from with the MEC?
I'm from Florida, but at the time I applied for MEX, I was living in Boston because I just graduated my college there. And so I applied to MEX through the Boston Consulate of Japan.
So the US has a few consulates.
Yeah, there's I think there's 5 or something. There's and I think they have a certain number of people they let in each year.
So we both are embassy recommended MEX students, but in the US it's called consulate and not embassy, but it's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same type of scholarship. So we both made it to Japan after a long process with this scholarship, and then we found ourselves
in Tokyo University of Foreign Studies.
In a university for language to study Japanese. Now Nadine's level when she came into this country was already up in the sky with Japanese, so they immediately put her in the highest level.
No, I wasn't. It was like levels 1 through 7 and I was level 5.
And I was level 3.
Not so different.
So, no, quite different. So it means that Nadine was doing rocket science in Japanese, while I was they reminded me how to speak and do introductions and some easy stuff. Yeah, but then, at least in my experience, we became friends very fast from exploring the city, exploring parks. We both really like to be outside, outdoors, going to all the parks Tokyo has to offer, going to mountains.
Yes.
And obviously we both like art very much, so sometimes we paint together, we paint outside. Do you want to add something?
I feel like you've said everything.
Can you tell us a little bit about why Japan? Why did you come to Japan?
Yeah, so this is my 3rd time being in Japan. I came here as a high school student, 2nd year high school, and then I came again as 3rd year college student. And when I came as a 3rd year college student, I had such a good experience studying abroad, and I really felt that I just loved being here, and I loved the culture and just the atmosphere of Japan, and I love the language and the art history. And so, I went back to the US and graduated college, and the only thing I could think of was how to find a way back to Japan, how to find a way to be there long term, whether that was through artist residency or some scholarship program, language program. And I applied to many different things, and MEXT was the one that I was accepted to, so that's how I ended up coming back here. I had to come back.
So you're saying that you already been here in high school?
Yes.
You've been here in high school and later in college also?
Yes.
So coming here for university was your third time?
Yeah.
Okay. In which one of these experiences did you decide you have to come back?
Definitely the second one.
The second.
When I studied abroad in ICU.
In college?
Yeah, when I was a junior in college. I had such, I think it's the best 3 months of my life that I had in that experience. I just knew that I had to come back here. For whatever reason, being back in Japan was the way to go forward. And so I knew that I had to come back.
Did you study art back then when you came here for college?
I was not studying art in Japan. I was studying art at college.
Yeah, in the US.
Yeah, I was doing a double major, art and Japanese language. But when I was here in ICU, I was just studying Japanese language. It was supposed to be an intensive language program, but mostly we just kind of explored the city and played tennis and had fun. I will add that I also like anime.
I also
which
like
is
anime.
another reason that I wanted to come here.
Yeah.
I studied Japanese in high school, which is how I was able to come here. My second year of high school, there was an exchange program, and at that time I just really liked anime, and I thought, that's so cool, I can go to Japan.
I also definitely grew up on anime and all sorts of Japanese media, and I think there's no shame in it. It's a great, to this day, it's a great inspiration for my art. So can you tell us a little bit about your art? What's in it? Why? What are the characteristics of your art?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So I tend to make art that is revolving around faces. I love painting faces. It's the most fun thing for me. And so each one of my paintings is representing some kind of thought or memory or experience. A lot of them are about struggles or anxieties that I have or things that I'm trying to overcome in my life or in my mind. And so I'll have that main idea for the painting, and then an image that kind of matches with whatever it is that I'm trying to express, and there will be a central face, and I basically just layer things on top of the face that are connected to whatever that central idea is of the painting. So it ends up looking a little bit like a collage because I'm kind of collaging different images, scenery. I love mountains and nature scenery.
We both really like mountains.
Yes.
And nature scenery.
Yeah,
And it
it's
connects
what we
us.
share.
Yeah.
So I would just describe my art as collage type paintings that are revolving around a face and that look kind of mysterious or mystical. I really like the kind of mystical vibe.
Yeah, I think you're really good at capturing your own journey here in Japan and telling stories. You tend to paint places you've been in combined with your own kind of visions or dreams. In a really aesthetically pleasing way.
Oh, thank you.
But also there's explosion of colors, but the colors that look really good together, really well put together, but still there's such a strong sense of life in all of your works.
Thank you.
How do you do it? I think it's a really special ability that you have, your sense of color.
Oh, thank you so much. I just love colorful things. I love pink. I think most of my paintings are pink or purple or some combination of these. I just love bright colors.
So you like pink.
I like pink. I also like
color.
I really like rainbows. The colors of the rainbow.
The colors of the rainbow. Yeah, it's a good color.
I think there's rainbows in most of my paintings, but I don't know. I really just like combining vibrant colors together, having the gradation of yellow, orange, pink is pretty much somewhere in all of my painting. I just love vibrant colors and finding a way to make them work together, even though sometimes my professors tell me that like it's too much or that I should like use more subtle colors, but I just can't help myself.
So next question I have is related to this is like, how do you think being in Japan, studying in Japan, living in Japan influence or inspires your work, your paintings, and the general process of your creation?
Yeah, so I think that a lot of my inspiration for my paintings comes from places I've been or experiences that I've had since living here, and I almost always am incorporating like scenery, whether it's like mountain scenery, nature scenery, or like words, like Japanese words and letters, things that I've seen on like posters or signs. I just really love the visual culture of Japan.
Yeah,
like,
I just want to add that Nadine, in my view, is a very special case of living in a different culture, but really, what's the word, integrating into it. I don't know if it's the right word, but she speaks perfect Japanese. She also reads perfect Japanese, which is very, very rare. It's also very, very difficult, and she worked very, very hard to reach this level. She also passed the N1, which is the hardest the hardest language exam in Japan. Also native speakers might fail it.
No.
Yes. So I think we have like a really inspiring persona here in our presence.
Thank you.
So two questions actually. How did you do it? How did you manage to speak Japanese and read and write Japanese so well the way you do? And how do you think does it help you living here, making art here, and just enjoy the full experience? Because it's an essential part, right, of your experience.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not sure how I did it. I think the main thing that I had working for me is that I started studying pretty early. I started learning Japanese when I was 14, when I just started high school.
In Florida?
Yeah, in Florida. Wait, you start high school when you're 14, right? Yeah, so I started learning when I was like relatively like still young, and so even though I studied for 4 years in high school and I couldn't speak at that time, but I guess I got some base of like the language that has stuck with me since then. So I was able to like learn more in college, and then once arriving in Japan, just like being able to talk to Japanese people and make some Japanese friends and speak with them a lot. And even now, I mean, there's so much that I don't know. But I do have a level where I'm able to live my life and like, I don't know, make doctor's appointments and like read things, and I can like get by.
No, that's my level. Yours is much higher.
No.
You communicate with people around here deeply, I feel like. You can actually, which is where this is my limit. I cannot express my thoughts and feelings, but Nadine can, I think. Am I speaking too much in your place? But I feel like observing from the side, I feel like you're very good at it.
Thank you so much.
Not only expressing talking about your work in Japanese, I've observed you speaking about your work a few times in Japanese, and it blows my mind. I think you're so good at it because it's something that is hard for native speakers too, and I think you're doing it so well in Japanese.
Thank you. I actually find it easier to explain my work in Japanese sometimes because in general, actually, in English, I often feel like I'm not very articulate. Like I don't speak well in English because I've like compared myself to people, or like in college, you know, you have to do like public speaking, and it's like how many times do you say like, how many times do you say I'm not very good at this. I say both of them a lot, and I'm always worried that I say the wrong words in English. But in Japanese, I only know how to say things one way, like because
so you go for it.
Right. So it takes away my fear of saying things wrong and of like making mistakes or being inarticulate in the language, because I know that I'm inarticulate. It's not my native language. So in some ways it makes me feel more free to say things more straightforwardly and not be like worried about how I speak. So I like speaking Japanese. It like makes me feel free. So maybe that's also how I was able to like speak more.
It's interesting. It's an interesting perception on language, I think. What does it mean to be a PhD painting student in Japan. How does your life look like? What is your day looking like as a PhD art student in Japan?
I've gone through many different ways of trying to organize my day, because for PhD, so for masters it was different. For masters you can just make art and you don't really have to do much else. And I think the masters is really unique because you get to be, I mean, for us as MEC students, we get to be in Japan. We get to be surrounded by the culture
for a long time.
For quite several years. We get to be here and to just sort of continue making our art in this new environment and to be influenced by the environment and to get the input from the professors and students. And it's just a way for us to continue making art in this new place. For PhD, it's a little bit different because we have to have a research theme and a research plan, and to be doing the research and actually have to make a finished product, which is the thesis, in order to graduate. So I try to spend my time half research, half art making, and I'm in the time period where the thesis deadline is coming up in a couple of months, so I might switch it to more thesis time and less art time. So,
I just want to say for a moment that I recently graduated from a master program also in art, in printmaking, in a different university. And I also, I'm not sure if you mentioned it, but I also had to have a research proposal and work around some kind of a research idea, but not the thesis. Some universities also have a requirement for thesis in the masters, but regardless, it's not the same thing, what you're talking about, right? You're talking about a very, very researched project that is also very long, right? You need to write how many pages, more or less?
About 40 pages.
Minimum 40 pages. You write it in Japanese.
It's
there's like a committee that checks it.
It's quite strict. It has to go through many different checks. I think there's three checks. So you submit the first draft and then they check it and basically see whether the content is good enough to go forward. So you submit it as a preliminary thesis. It's called a yobi ronbun, and if that one is okay, you have to fix it, and then you can submit it as hon ronbun, which is the real thesis. It's quite strict.
So two things. One, you're writing all of this in Japanese.
Yes.
I don't think we stress this enough. You're writing a PhD in Japanese.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Also in Japanese, there are specific ways to write academically. You cannot just write the same way you're speaking in the show, right?
Yeah, there's some differences.
There's some academic writing style. Amazing. I think it's amazing you're doing this in Japanese.
I do have to get many people to check my Japanese though. I can't submit it just the way that I write it. Because most of the PhD students are foreigners, there's 2 Japanese people out of all of us, I think. We all need Japanese help.
So I just said I graduated masters, which means I've been a MEC student for how long? 4 years?
Yeah.
I've been a 4 years MEC student. I done my masters and then bye-bye. I went away from academia for now. And you stayed. So you were a research student, master student, and then you moved on into PhD studies.
Yes.
Which means after the 4 years, another 3 years, not necessarily?
So I only did Kenkyusei for 1 year. So I had 1 year Kenkyusei, and then 2 years masters, and then 3 years PhD. So by the time I graduate, in total
6 years. So 6 years on the MEC scholarship, but it's becoming, I have to say, more and more difficult to, when you, how do you say this, when you go forward with the MEC.
To move to the next level.
Yes, it's more and more competitive. To become a PhD student in an art university, because they only take how many each year?
I think they take 3. In Musabi, they take 3 each year, but among those 3, they want to get people from different practices. So usually there's only 1 oil painting, and then maybe 1 hanga printmaking and 1 chokoku or something.
Yeah. So you got in to the PhD program.
Yeah.
You're out of 3 people.
So my thoughts about the PhD, as I'm working on it, I think it's a really unique thing, because, or is this something that you were going to say later? Is it okay for me to say?
I have no idea what you're going to say.
Okay, I'll just say, I think it's really unique because I think most PhDs, and I don't really know, but most PhDs are something a bit more concerned with the outside world, if that makes sense. we study something very scientific or something very like political or economic, and then we do research and we do experiments and we write our findings. But the art PhD is something, I think it's really unique, and it's crazy that I even found this like very rare opportunity, because the whole PhD is we write about ourselves and our art and what are our inspirations, and there is real research that goes into it, like art historical research, and you do have to revolve your thesis around a research theme.
From the little I know is that you're making connections between you and the art that you are making in the specific time and space that you are in, between cultures. Maybe you want to say more about it, but I think MEC students are making very fascinating connections between cultures. So it's a cultural exchange. So I think it's not necessarily only about you. And there's also, I feel like a lot of MEC students I meet who are doing their masters or PhD about art, whether they're aware of this or not, they're making a lot of fascinating cultural exchange connections in the work, whether the work is painting or ceramic or printmaking or music. There's a lot of conversation and dialogue between cultures that is happening, and I think it's great. It's great for the other students. It's great for us that we are experiencing this, that we meet each other and talk about this, that all of this is happening here in Tokyo. So yeah, more of you should come, I think.
Yeah, we can always use more different experiences and people with different like backgrounds.
Yeah.
Because no matter what you bring, there will be some interesting connections.
Yes, and only you can make this connection. Yeah. I feel like the art that you create and the thoughts and the research that you're doing as a student, it can only be created by you in this specific time that you're making it. So it's very valuable, very special, and I don't think we ever should be like thinking, oh, my art has no value, what do I add to the world, which is something I think all art students think at some point. Just keep going with your art. It's good, it's important.
Yeah. I think that if you just keep making what type of art that you like and are open to like receiving influence from the place that you're in, especially if you're in a different culture like in Japan, to just like receiving inspiration from the place around you and keep making and just keep making what you enjoy making. Like I've definitely had moments of trying to force myself to make certain types of art that I thought would be like the professors will like it better this way, or it might get into win a competition if it looks more this way. But I think you have to make it the way that you want to make it and that you have fun making it, even if the end result isn't really what people want to see sometimes.
At least it has a soul. It needs to have a soul in it, which your work certainly has. So essentially, as a PhD student, painting student in Japan, you are making your own paintings, you're creating your paintings, and you're also writing about them?
Yes.
So it's like a combination of practical, what's the other word? Practical and
theoretical?
Theoretical?
I'm not sure if it's the word you wanted.
So it's a combination of both.
Yeah.
So how does it go?
So the way I'm working on the thesis is I'm actually writing about each painting that I've done since entering the program, more or less, and sort of making it a story of like how, like what my thought process has been since entering the program until now, how my work has evolved, and how it connects to the theme that I've decided on for my research. So I'm also bringing up art history and writing about artists from history that really inspire me and who I feel that their work is reflected in my work.
But also you go to shrines and stuff and you look at Buddhist sculptures.
And sometimes I do.
Yeah, so there's also like a kind of going into the field.
Yeah, I've never thought of it that way, but yeah.
The fact that we live here is also, it means that our head constantly thinking of our research, of how to make the art that we are making, how is this related to the subject matter. So you're studying painting, PhD painting, here in Japan, in Tokyo.
Yes.
What are your plans for the future?
My plans for the future?
Or wishes or dreams for the future?
To graduate. Hopefully it will happen.
In a year?
Yes, hopefully.
You will do it.
I really want to move somewhere that I can see the mountains.
So we both have like this fantasy for years that we can just ditch the city and live in nature. isolated by mountains and
Yeah.
trees.
I don't know what I'll do when I graduate. I know I'll keep making art, of course, but I don't really know where I'll live. I might move somewhere far from the city, maybe not that far. I might move to Ome. Ome has mountains.
Ome is a nice town by the mountains.
Yeah, I went to
close
Ome.
to Tokyo. Is it part of Tokyo? No.
It is part of Tokyo.
Part of Tokyo,
yeah.
but it's very outskirts.
Yeah, it's very, very west Tokyo. I really don't know what kind of job I'll do. I'll have to get a job, as a friend knows, to get a visa. Yeah, you need to get a job. So I will also have to get a job.
So as foreigners, we cannot just graduate university.
We can't just chill
and chill.
Unfortunately.
In order to keep our status as legal in this country, we have to do something. We have to have a job. So we cannot just not have one.
Yeah, we
Even
can't.
not for a short time, by the way. You have to graduate and find a job.
Like immediately. I don't know if I'll get a job that has anything to do with art. I might end up getting a job that's kind of random, like working in a cafe, or if I can find a museum or somewhere where I'm just kind of doing customer service or something, as long as I can get the visa to stay in Japan. But what's most important to me is that I live somewhere with the mountains.
So what I feel like for sure you'll get something because you have so many skills. You speak perfect Japanese.
Perhaps.
You're a very reliable, organized person. So whatever it is, I'm sure it will lead you somewhere that you want to be. I have no doubt.
Oh.
Try to paint us a picture of your dream scenario in the future.
My dream scenario is that I live in the mountains.
Okay, so mountain.
In Japan, and I make art. I have a studio space, and I have the highly skilled professional visa, where you don't need to have a work contract with a company. You can just do something like freelance, but you just have to prove your income to the government. So in this ideal future, I make art and I sell it, and lots of people buy it. So I make enough money to get the highly skilled visa where I don't need to be working at a company.
Yeah, okay, well, you're not going to talk about the high skilled visa, but it's a dream for many of us, foreigners, artists.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll get it. I'm sure if there is a person who deserves this and can get it, it's you.
But in the future.
In the future, well, we work hard. Sounds magical. Okay, maybe I will come visit also.
You can also live in the mountains.
We'll be part of it somehow.
We can be neighbors. We can share a studio.
We are having a baby plan to have an exhibition together because it never happened before.
Yeah.
I would like this to happen first before we have a studio in the mountains.
Yes.
I'm hoping. If I'm saying it in a video, maybe it will happen. Yeah, thank you for sharing this with us.
Yeah.
Thank you for visiting, for hosting us in your lovely, beautiful studio.
Yeah. Keep making arts.
Yes.
And make art in a way that you enjoy.
Because only you can. Yeah, and if you want to make art in Japan, you should come and make art in Japan. Don't let anyone stop you.
Yeah.
Because you only live once and it's your life. And if that's what you want to do, so Nadine is here, she's doing it, I'm here, I've done this, you can also do it.
Thank you for visiting my studio and for choosing me to ask these beautiful questions too.
Who else?
It was a beautiful opportunity to speak.
So thank you for watching this video and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
I don't know what this was, but